Good afternoon and welcome to the Redbrick Sport Podcast. We've got Alex with us today. Say hello, Alex.
Hello.
And Harry as well. Welcome back from Holland, Harry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Oliver.
And I'm Olli, the host. We're going to start off on a fairly benign weekend of football because it's an international break, talking about a few of the international results. Now, England fielded their young guns against Germany on Friday. 0-0 was the result. I didn't see the game. Did anyone see the game?
Sort of. There was a TV in my vicinity, but I was preoccupied. So, yeah, there was strange players, wasn't there? Like Maguire was playing, and Pickford had a good game in goal though. I noticed he made a few good saves. It's good that he got the chance. The England goalkeeping situation is really strange because when you think about in like 2006 when you could argue most of the outfield players were world class, Scholes, Joe Cole, it's prime Rooney. Then we had Paul Robinson in goal. It was pretty strange. So now when you have all this choice, but then the outfield situation isn't as spectacular, it makes you wonder like if they had one of these keepers back then, maybe it may have made England win a World Cup.
Well, it certainly seemed like a very disjointed selection. Like it was a group of players who are alien both to each other in terms of a chemistry perspective and also in terms of international experience. Like very few of them were kind of top class. So which is, I didn't see his performance, but Ruben Loftus-Cheek got man of the match in the midfield, and people were kind of raving about him, even though he's been a little bit underwhelming at Palace in terms of his impact.
He had a few good touches. Like he had a few moments where you're like, when you watch him, you kind of think there's a player somewhere there, and it's just about him sort of getting the consistency.
I remember him breaking onto the scene with Chelsea. He scored his first goal at Villa.
Yeah, wasn't that when Pato scored?
Yeah.
Twice.
Pato scored
one of his only goals.
Celebrated from the whole tent.
Yeah.
Who are you, mate? Go away. 4-0 it was.
But yeah, Loftus-Cheek is like one of those players. He would do well to get away from Chelsea as quick as he can.
Yeah.
Just to sort of break free of that sort of, am I good enough to make it into Chelsea's team?
It was one of the things that I saw on kind of one of the rumour mills that was one of the reasons that he wanted to.
Yeah, I think he's come out. He's been quite open about it.
Yeah, because almost it was something like he didn't make a breakthrough because the established first team players certainly felt like threatened by his progression almost. So he wanted to get away
surprising.
from that. So it's a little bit.
So is he implying that because they were threatened, they sabotaged his progress?
Almost, yeah. Which
strange.
That's almost conspiratorial.
It is. It's a weird kind of vein of politics to bring into it. But at the end of the day, what's done is done. He's still kind of on Chelsea's books, so they'll be paying his fairly considerable wages.
He'll probably end up with a test.
To be fair, if he doesn't have a good season and he doesn't make another appearance for England, I wouldn't be surprised if he's at the test next season.
Mate, it's a good place. Lovely stadium.
It's got a roof, hasn't it? But.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I saw a Vitesse game on last Sunday. 0-0 versus Pekaswala. Wasn't the best game. It was strange because both teams had a handful of good quality players. Yeah. Rashika was obviously the best player for Vitesse, and then they had the players on loan from Chelsea.
Yeah.
Namely, was it
Mason Mount?
Mason Mount, yeah.
The right back Dabo, Fankati Dabo, and the centre back Miazga, yeah.
Oh yeah.
American guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he was probably the best out of the centre back. Yeah. The right back, it was strange. Whenever the right back got the ball, the crowd seemed to cheer. Me and my brother were just looking at each other like, "What's going on?" It wasn't like he was doing anything spectacular. Yeah, it was interesting seeing a few strange things. The Dutch fans, like going into the ground, everyone gets touched down, properly searched. You're allowed to take pints onto the
do that in Germany.
In Germany, yeah. The atmosphere was much better than I thought it'd be, to be fair. Although I was in the rougher end.
The ultras.
The ultra end, yeah.
And that does exist in the Netherlands as well.
Yeah, there was some.
People might think it's quite a passive league because it's not necessarily the most competitive.
Yeah.
But the ultra scene is quite prominent.
They were very proud of their city R&M.
Yeah, they all are.
There was a lot of flags threatening other cities.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a thing for some Europeans. Like their league has got the big boys of Feyenoord and Ajax maybe.
Everyone hates Ajax.
Kind of get left to fight amongst themselves, and that's they're a bit more passionate as a result.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you
saw
that or
seems like I wish I got to the Ajax game because they were playing Utrecht.
Yeah, it was a great game, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Utrecht beat them 2-1, and interestingly, during the game of the test, there would be updates. Their sort of mascot is an eagle. And there'd be this big eagle noise, and everyone, sort of get up in anticipation, and then it'd be like Utrecht 1, Ajax 0, and everyone would cheer. It seems like everyone hates Ajax. It's a bit like everyone hates Man United in this country, if you're not a United fan, but about 5 times worse, I'd say.
Yeah.
They loathe Ajax. So that's pretty interesting. Even though it was 0-0, it was still massively worth going.
A new experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to England.
Yeah.
That was a nice little tangent you went off on there.
Yes. How did we get to there? Chelsea, wasn't it?
Loftus-Cheek. I was saying to Harry before the game that I think this is probably like a little bit of a speculative shout, but I wouldn't be confident of that England starting team getting promoted from the Championship.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I think in terms of I wouldn't see them doing it over 46 games. Not a lot of them.
Yeah.
They've all most of them have played in the Championship and done all right. But I just think in general terms it's not a good side. But then you have to sort of look at the way Germany have done it with youngsters, and they have occasionally put 2 or 3 players that basically aren't up to the standard of the national team in the team to try and blood them.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite you either take the sort of point of view where you think, well, these players aren't good enough to get in the team, so let's not play them. Let's pick players on merit entirely. Because let's be honest, Loftus-Cheek and Joe Gomez, and probably Tammy Abraham on quality don't deserve to be in the team. But in terms of what they offer for the future, they have so much potential.
Do you reckon part of putting Abraham on the team is to make him not go to Nigeria?
Possibly, but he still can because it was a friendly, wasn't it? So,
of course, yeah.
So, but I think he came out in an interview because it got posted by Goal.com.
Yeah.
And
they weren't very happy.
The Nigerians in the comments weren't too pleased. But I found Tammy Abraham should be like a top level striker in a couple of years for me.
But that's the thing. I mean, I'm looking at the team now, and you kind of wonder how many of those people that were blooded on Friday are going to actually be expecting the phone call when it comes to.
Oh yeah, I don't think any of them can really expect it unless Tammy Abraham goes and scores 18 league goals. I don't think he's really got a shout of getting in that squad.
So in terms of, I don't know, well, let's talk about strikers then. In terms of strikers, would you put your, I don't know, kind of 3 as Harry Kane, Jamie Vardy, Jermaine Defoe?
I mean, it'd have to be just on.
Not sure about Defoe anymore.
Yeah,
last year, yes.
Defoe's 35, and he hasn't really hit the ground running this season.
No. So I guess that's where
it leaves the space, doesn't it? Because you can say, well, I would make the argument not necessarily on his own, but Dele Alli is a forward. He's not a midfielder, although he has dropped back. Obviously, the Spurs, their win against Real Madrid.
But do you think he is a striker?
No, he's not a number 9.
Does he not have to? Yeah, I don't think he can work. I don't think England have the wide players to facilitate Dele Alli being
like a
justified as taking a striker's space.
No.
Well, he'll just play him behind Kane like he does at Spurs.
That's what I mean.
They'll try and keep his and Kane's partnership as close to the way it is at Spurs as possible.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no Eriksen, but they'll still try and mimic how Spurs play.
No, I don't think that's going to be a key thing. How Ali and Kane play and play together at the World Cup, but like you say, for someone like Joe Gomez, even looking at like Trippier.
I think Trippier will make the squad.
Yeah.
Probably. I'd say. I mean, Klein's injured, isn't he? But
Is he injured until the summer?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But I mean, you could even possibly stake a claim for Alexander Arnold at Liverpool. Like, why not? Like, if these players are in form, like, why not put them in there and see what they can do?
But what I would say, like, what is the value of? Would you argue that like it's worth putting them in now to play against Germany and Brazil, just to blood them, even though we know that they haven't got a chance, or fully concentrate on building like
the first 11,
as much team play together, get the chemistry up, whatever like that.
It's a good point. I think it comes down to Southgate's legacy a lot, because he,
as in like how he views his legacy, or it's just what's going to happen.
How he views his legacy.
Building like a dynasty type thing?
I don't know, not a dynasty. I think he wants to be remembered as a manager that brought young players through.
Right.
Coming from an under-21s perspective.
Yeah.
And I hate to sound like Andy Tate here, but he did get the job on the technicality of a legend. No, not a legend, just on a technicality, actually. Because Roy Hodgson would not be neither would Sam Allardyce, but anyway, we'll leave that. But he did get the job on a technicality, and he's sort of riding on the crest of that wave. And I do think I like him as a guy. I mean, when he speaks in interviews, he seems very educated and very forthright in his opinions. But I do think he's trying something new, because otherwise he's just going to be accused of sort of continuity of the old system that's never been successful. Well, hasn't been successful for a while. So he's got to change something.
I think for the first time, though, the expectations aren't that high with England going to the World Cup.
You say that now because we're not in 2018.
Yeah.
We'll see Harry Kane will score 35 league goals. Dele Alli will be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, Jack Butland will be the best keeper in the world.
Everyone will be in form.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to May, one of them will pick up an injury. It always happens. Yeah. And we'll think, we'll be back in time. We're going to win the World Cup.
This will be our year.
It's a cycle, and I'm afraid to say you can only sort of doubt the cycle when you're in it.
Yeah.
You can't you can't anticipate. You can't predict how people will react and the sort of the variables of what might happen before the World Cup. And I don't think England will win the World Cup, but I think it's better to be an underdog, obviously. Yeah. And
who do you think will win the World Cup now at this moment?
If I was going to make a guess, and this sounds bizarre, but I'd say Brazil.
Yeah.
Because their team, if they're picking their players on the best players in the positions, and because it sounds strange, a lot of the national teams don't do that. Like Argentina don't. They don't call up Icardi or Dybala, I think, because they've got so many strikers they can't play in that formation. And I would just say Brazil's team is almost back to the era of the sort of early 2000s where every player was a bona fide superstar.
Yeah.
And it's getting back to that now for me.
Well, there was an interesting feature I saw that it kind of showed how they had turned almost turned the tables from that 7-1 North Germany point, and just complete the notion that they've completely revolved their kind of players is wrong, because they haven't got rid of that whole squad. But
it's mad because people forget that was the semi-final.
Yeah.
7-1.
Yeah.
They still got to the semi-final.
They scraped through there. I mean, they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have beat
David
Chile.
Luiz's free kick in the quarterfinal.
Yeah. It was against Colombia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But they shouldn't have beat Chile in the round of 16 either.
Chile,
was that
hit the bar.
It was Mauricio Pinillas hit the bar, and
it was questionable handball from Hulk. I'd say, given the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and they got through very easily in the end. I think they had a really easy draw.
And it was in their own country as well, so that helped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The nationalism aspect, I suppose, is there. But I can't really see Germany winning it this time. I think I don't know what it is about the team, but I think that, like, so for example, that team the other night was obviously a little bit under strength, but I don't think Gundogan and Özil as centre midfielders together is ever going to work. And I just like Spain. Obviously, you always have the same contenders.
Belgium, though, will be.
Belgium won't win it.
Right.
No way. Martinez is the manager. They aren't going to. I'm sorry, they're not.
Henry's the forward coach there.
Yeah, Martinez is the manager. So I just think, in terms of like, you need a good manager or exceptional players and an exceptional team.
They have got
they've got exceptional players.
They've got world-class players.
I don't think they've got an exceptional team. They could
Where are the
prove us
holes in
wrong.
their team?
Well, yeah, they're not, but I mean, yeah.
Look at their defence.
Individually, yeah, it's a good team, like on paper.
It's a bit like England 2006, almost.
It is, yeah, because they all are, and especially to us, because a lot of them are in the English team, in the English league. So we almost see them every week. So
because I think because we know them, like know a lot of the players quite well.
Yeah.
It becomes an easy thing to like, they're all world class because the Premier League's world class.
It inflates out. Yeah, it's like
a bit like that thing. What's that bias?
Confirmation
bias.
Because you see them playing well in your league, and if you think, like Olli said, if you think your league's the best in the world, and those players are the best players in that league, then they're the best players in the world.
But is the Premier League not the best league in the world?
No.
What?
No, it's not.
Well, in terms of quality, you're talking about.
Overall, average quality, it's not the best league in the world on the best players in the world, is it? Obviously.
But in terms of like generally,
as in,
it's the best league in the
what
world.
are you looking for from someone in that sense?
So generally, well, like take into account so quality, the way the fans treat it, the attendances, the quality from like every team. So like how good the worst team in the league is compared to the best.
Right.
So i.e. La Liga. Well, I don't know who the worst team in the league is, but how do they compare to the best?
Probably,
so how worse are they compared to Madrid or Barca?
True.
Whereas how bad are who's the worst team in the Prem? Palace to City.
It's a good point, but like
in terms of entertainment, that's what.
Yes.
I suppose that's what.
But also in terms of entertainment, I'd say that you've got to take into account the kind of the fan aspect and like the atmosphere.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you can't have a
so you don't believe
in the world with
the best
poor atmospheres.
I don't think on all levels, no, because they pay the most. They like the fans of the bottom 14 clubs don't really see anything different.
But arguably, we've got some of the worst fans in the world.
In terms of what?
The Premier League, in terms of atmospheric grounds.
Atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, how many Premier League grounds would you go to and genuinely feel like, cool, like this is like...
It's because you're used to going to Stamford Bridge. That's probably why you feel like
that. I'll fully admit that Stamford Bridge has not got a good atmosphere.
No, if you go to some of the...
But, maybe lower down, lower down.
Literally every...
But how many times are you gonna excite, get kind of a buzz going to the Vitality, even to the Etihad, the Emirates, going to the Hawthorns, going to Huddersfield.
Well, literally, you get a buzz. All these grounds you just mentioned, you get a buzz from, apart from the bigger ones. Basically United, Chelsea, Arsenal. But Arsenal is a win because it's a new stadium and stuff. Like Highbury, we used to be buzzing. I've been to a lot of these grounds like Norwich. When we went to Hawthorns, they were losing 4-0 and they're still singing.
Yeah.
You do get this sort of buzz. It seems like in the biggest grounds, the biggest teams, maybe it's tourists there. Sanitised, that's the word to use.
I just think from...
Old Trafford was the worst.
Yeah, Old Trafford was weird when I
went.
But from an objective point of view, and also from a normative point of view, the Premier League is not the best league in the world.
So what is the best league in the world?
The Bundesliga.
Okay.
Because it gives fans... It's more democratic, although not perfect. It gives fans a voice.
Yeah, I rate that.
The ticket prices are low. The season ticket prices are low. You can drink beer in the ground, as we said before. The attendances are higher. The stadiums are bigger. I mean, the only problem is that you have this sort of monolithic, Bayern are the biggest team,
and they
indisputably,
all the best players,
and they sort of act as the hegemon of that league.
I think because they're not invincible, I wouldn't say that effect is too.
I suppose it doesn't decrease the overall value, but I think it's a point that the Bundesliga detractors use to sort of to criticise it.
I mean, corruption aside, and that kind of democratic aspect, like you mentioned, aside, I'll be interested to see what kind of the Italian league is like. Obviously, with the whole Juventus thing like out of the way, kind of if you look at like their kind of history, their stadiums, like you said, their fans, their prices, their quality of football as well, and the disparity between the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I know
Italy's got a huge disparity between the best and the worst.
I know it's still it's still there.
Yeah.
But like I would put that one out there as well. I'd say that's definitely one to be considered.
With that. It depends. I think it depends on like. I find it have you ever looked at average attendances in Italy?
It's dire.
It's really up and down. So like, for example, like in the mid 2000s. Probably not the mid 2000s because AC were good then. But so like early 2010 onwards, AC and Inter have had like really bad attendance. Like for clubs of their size, and when they have 80,000 seats in that stadium, they rarely fill it. And I think that's kind of like that is kind of an issue, isn't it?
Well, I haven't wanted to kind of judge or like based on what I've watched on telly because kind of obviously with a lot of teams in Italy they have these kind of athletic style stadiums like the Olympic stadiums.
Yeah, they're that's another problem.
And so
it's the ground sharing.
You can't really see like all of the crowd, or some bits might be hidden.
Yes.
Where realistically next to the athletics track it's like empty, but elsewhere it's fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Italy, they've got a lot of big clubs. They've got like probably 8 big clubs there who like could be big brands as well.
And there's far less new money as well.
I mean there is a little bit, and
there is new money, but that's the case. That's going to be the case anywhere because football is a sport that attracts people.
Yeah.
So
vanity projects.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a heated discussion.
Yeah.
Where did
I didn't know you didn't think the Prem was the best league in the world.
Well, I mean, like, I'm just positing the view that it isn't.
Yeah.
To play devil's advocate, I'm not saying that. Like, I do think that the Premier, in terms of like overall entertainment value, if you strip away everything else, it is the best league in the world. But it's certain things about it.
Yeah, I
sour the experience.
I understand the idea with Bundesliga with taking beer into the ground and the ticket prices, especially, and the ownership thing with the 49.51.
Yeah,
those things are to be considered. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
And on that, well, not a bombshell, but
all right, Jeremy Clubs.
We'll take a break there. And we're back with the Redbrick Sport podcast. And move on to some more international action from the weekend. And in the home nations, we had both Irelands playing, the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Start off with the heartbreaking tale of Northern Ireland and their succumbing to Switzerland 1-0 from the first leg on aggregate. And then it was a draw when they played them last night, and penalty was a farce. Would everyone agree?
No, it was definitely a penalty.
It was definitely a penalty.
No, of course it wasn't.
Probably, yeah. I mean, like, it's just when you look at it, it's like that 10 times out of 10 gets waved away, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, didn't hit him in the arm, did it?
No.
Well, he turned his back to it, and hit his shoulder. So
yeah.
But shoulder is not the arm. So at the referee, do your anatomy lessons at school properly, and then come back to referee.
That's a new one. I was just saying that on like a game, like instead of go to space,
do
your anatomy lessons.
Well,
go back to human biology.
You know, Jerry Armstrong, who does obviously sometimes does the La Liga games on Sky. He also does Northern Ireland's games. I mean, he is Northern Irish, played for them like the 80s, 70s, 80s. Yeah. But he possibly wins the award for the most biased commentary ever. Like, he was just like, it sounded like a dad, like, cheering on, like a son playing football on a Sunday. It was just like, it was just so biased.
So what did he think of the penalty? Did he think it was a penalty?
I can't imagine what I was saying, but I mean, like, something to the tune of absolute disgrace. But but then
fair.
And then obviously Ireland due to play. They're playing tonight, Monday.
Yeah.
I think they are.
I don't know. I think they might be playing tomorrow.
Okay, but
Let me have a look.
I saw a podcast involving David Moyler, and he was saying that he reckons that he just basically said, like, so he got asked his prediction for their playoff game, and he said,
Oh, what, the
he
whole
said-
player?
yeah,
David
he said
Moyes.
Ireland to go into the World Cup. That's all he said.
Really?
So perhaps
Boom.
his prediction.
Republic of
will
Ireland,
come
Denmark is tomorrow night.
tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see Ireland to go to the World, even though they did knock out
A bit of a
Wales.
shame England being the sole representative of like
Yeah.
the British Isles.
And considering the home nations have had such a good qualifying
Yeah,
campaign,
yeah. There was one point where like all of them
all
could
of
have
them
gone.
could have
and
gone.
now-
Well, we must
Yeah.
point out the Republic of Ireland are not a home nation, but nevertheless,
Yeah.
culturally they are related to the British Isles
Yes.
in a way.
Thanks for that one.
Well, it's a very
No,
important,
it is an important point.
it's an important point to distinctify, and it always needs mentioning anyway.
Yeah, it does.
So you've got some of the other international games. So they were all friendlies, weren't they? All the other important ones, really.
Most of them.
You've
yeah.
got like Croatia beating Greece 4-1, so that's a done deal. An Ian Beale, as they say.
As he says.
Me.
Does everyone say that?
Yeah, they always say it's an Ian Beale, don't they?
From your detailed knowledge of Cockney rhyming slang.
Yeah, you know, I'm from there, aren't I? Can't you tell?
No.
Then you have some of the friendlies on last week, so obviously you had Belgium drawing 3-3 with Mexico, which is why I vehemently believe that Belgium cannot win the World Cup because they shipped too many goals.
Which is strange when you look at their defence and play paper. It's unreal.
It should do better, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will in the World Cup either. I think they'll come unstuck pretty easily. I mean,
Do you reckon
Wales-
there'll be like a shock, disappointment?
I don't think there'll be a disappointment. I just think they'll get to the quarterfinals and bow out.
Yeah.
Similar
Not
to
lose to
Euros.
Wales, but
No,
someone
but
else.
yeah, exactly. And then we have also another qualifier. I forgot about that. Is Sweden versus
Sweden,
Italy.
That takes place tonight. Actually.
Yeah, I do think Italy can overturn that because it is in Italy, isn't it? I think it is.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Has Ibra retired from Sweden?
No,
Or
but
is
he's not
be
playing.
there?
He's not.
Oh,
He's,
he's not
he's
playing.
not fit, is he? So
Okay.
But he said he's not going to the World Cup even if they qualify.
Oh, really?
that's a weird statement to make, considering like he could like
He would be such a big
we
impact.
fundamentally change like their prospects
Chances, yeah.
for the World Cup. But be interesting to like Italy to not make it because they sort of. It's a funny thing about Italy. They've rejected a lot of. You know how Italy have a lot of those players who aren't Italian but qualify through dual registration. So
Oh, yeah.
so Napoli midfielder Jorginho, he's been called up. He got called up for the Sweden game, but he's like rated as like one of the best passing midfielders in Europe, and Italy have been neglecting him because there's sort of a, I don't know if it's like a sort of an attitude towards those sort of those foreign-based players playing in Italy, but they seem to sort of have a like a second-class citizen sort of role within the Italian setup.
Strange.
So perhaps they'll regret those sort of mistakes. But we shall see.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
It could be Buffon's final game
Yeah.
in Italian
Wow.
football. Well, international football.
That'd be a
Because they
shame.
need a win.
I think. Well, let's see. I mean, I think that they can win it because Sweden aren't. I don't know if either of you have ever played with Sweden on FIFA, but
Yeah, I used to do it all the
They're
time.
very-
I actually did.
I did as well. I think we played each other quite a bit with Sweden. Anyway, they're a quite clunky side, and they do have a few good players. Like they've got Forsberg from Leipzig. They've got.
Who's their keeper? Is it still that?
Surely it's not still Isaacson.
No,
Can't
surely
be.
not.
If it is, then Italy are winning. They're a big side, and they're a very hard working side. But in terms of quality, without Ibra, I don't really see them going many places if they do qualify for the World Cup. So, yeah.
Right.
Very conclusive.
That's internationals done, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we should probably mention the biggest tournament of the year.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, the Scottish Challenge Cup, or the Iron Brew Cup, where TNS, the New Saints, or the champions of the Welsh Premier League, beat the Queen of the South on
I
penalties.
feel like you haven't put enough of a finer point on the fact that the champions of the Welsh League are in the Scottish Challenge Cup.
What do you mean?
Well,
Is that? Oh yeah.
it's a bit weird.
Yeah. Well, they were in it last year. I suppose it's just.
It's just
I don't know.
normal now.
Yeah, it's pretty normal now. Crusaders are in it as well. So
Northern
teams
Irish.
left. Yeah. So in the semi-final, the TNS, Crusaders, Inverness, and Dumbarton.
Wow.
So TNS. I think Queen of the South were the favourites before TNS were victorious, with legendary goalkeeper Paul Harrison burying the sudden death penalty and then going in the net to save.
To win
next one.
4-3. It's quite a close one.
Yeah. Well, the first two penalties from each team were missed. It was quite entertaining.
Mm.
But yeah. So
Where's
that's
that
good news
televised?
for Welsh football. It was televised on Scorio, the Welsh
Was that
channel.
S4C?
S4C, yeah.
As
Yeah.
everyone else apart from people in Wales know it, S4C.
S4C.
Channel 34 on Freeview, if I'm not mistaken.
I've no idea. It's
didn't
Channel
realise-
4
I
on
didn't
my
realise you could
TV.
get it.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it's like instead of
Oh,
yeah,
that's wonderful.
Scorio. It's class. Yeah, I
I
watched
realise
it.
you can get S4C outside Wales.
Yeah, you can.
And yeah, it's always worth a look. There's always something good on there.
Yeah. Like
Well,
the
usually-
Usually just
That's
TNS
awful.
games, but
Yeah, it's Saintia Newydd, as they're called.
yes.
Yeah, but they're now called the New Saints of Oswestry Town. They've changed the name officially because, well, I don't know why, but Oswestry Town is actually in England.
I was
So
going to
it's,
say, I thought
yeah,
it was was true.
yeah, it's the birthplace of Wilfred Owen, which is
Mm.
somewhat interesting to
Yeah.
know.
It was quite poignant at this moment, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
This weekend. Yeah. Well, last weekend.
Yeah, they changed the name for.
So what? And they play in Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the
no,
Welsh
no,
League.
well, yeah, they play in the Welsh League,
Yeah.
but Oswestry Town they play in there, which is in England. It's not far. It's like a couple of miles. But they used to play in a village called Clanton Fried, but they changed. I won't give the whole history.
I thought they played in the village of Total Network Solutions.
Yeah, see, that's the history of TNS is actually very interesting. It's worth looking up.
We can save that for another podcast.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, on that note, then thank you very much to everyone who has listened to this podcast. Slightly shorter one than we have in previous weeks, so it's much easier to get to the end. My name's been Ollie. We've had Harry and Alex as well. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
See ya.
And hopefully we will see you next time for the next Redbrick Sport podcast. Thank you very much for listening.